Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury Interviews. Today we have a very special guest. Rob Wills is with us. He's a veteran musician, longtime player, very successful and very in demand. And we're going to be discussing his musical journey today and possibly a new pursuit that he has just began. Before we begin, you can find us on Sudstown and join the conversation. Rob Wills, welcome to episode 50.
Episode 50. I
Yes.
love it. I love
Yeah,
it. It's Blue Jays 50. It's episode 50. It's a good year for 50.
sure is. So what have you been what's on the barbecue? What have you been doing?
Well, uh, well, I'm currently sort of under contract, and I'm playing a feisty colonel who sells chicken, and it's been a pretty good gig for the last couple of years. So that's what's been happening with me lately. I was just thinking this morning because you mentioned lifelong musician and player, but and with a new sort of thing. But to tell you the truth, I've been an actor since I was about 17, and but I also played music, and I always found that when the acting wasn't keeping the wolf from the door, the my guitar could. So I did a lot, sort of did that. But yeah, that's what's currently on the boiler right now is playing Colonel Sanders for the KFC folks and having a ball flying all over the country and filming commercials and doing things. So that's a lot of good fun. And as I was going to say, I'm sitting out this afternoon. I brought my guitar out and I was just kind of noodling on it and realized that that's the farthest from the house that my guitar has been in 2 years. So I haven't been out gigging at all, and just been doing the acting thing. But it's uh, it's one of those things, If you like, if you're a performer, you're a performer. It doesn't really matter what you're doing. So that's what's been on. That's what's in my frying pan these days.
So you're playing the part of Colonel Sanders for KFC?
Well, yeah, I've been doing that for about we're coming up almost 3 years now.
Wow,
Um,
tell us more about that.
well, they did. It was a funny thing. I mean, like I said, I've been an actor my whole life. So, and once COVID hit, um, all in-person auditions ended during the pandemic, of course, as most production had shut down anyway. Um, But prior to the pandemic, if you were an actor and you were auditioning for something, you were driving to Toronto, so you didn't audition for a lot of things. Casting agents were a little more narrow. They narrowed down their choices a lot more. But then when the pandemic hit, they went to what's called well, it's actually called eco casting, and basically you do your audition on an iPhone on a tripod. So anyway, what happened was, auditions are coming and going, and I did a few episodes of this TV show and a couple of things over here of that. And then they put out a North American casting call. KFC Canada was looking for a colonel. They were looking for their colonel. So I mean, people auditioned that from New York, LA, Toronto, of course, and my agent sent it to me, and so I was looking not very Southern Colonelish at the time, but I tied my hair back and did the audition, and geez, lo and behold, I got the part, and so I cut off the rock and roll hair, and so yeah, I've been doing that for about almost coming up on 3 years. Yeah,
Well,
so
congratulations, Rob.
yeah, it's a fun gig. It's a nice gig, and they treat me very well. And so yeah, and it's yeah. So when you sort of get into your retirement end of your life, and then you latch onto a cool gig like that, it's kind of sweet, to tell you the truth.
Well, I my head is so far deep in the sand when it comes to current affairs that I'm sorry I didn't know that you quit. I didn't know that you stopped playing.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
been
yeah.
years. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, and it's kind of funny because like I don't even. go out anymore and see things. You try to get out, but boy, oh boy, once you get that 9 o'clock bedtime going, it's uh, it's pretty sweet. So
Hard to beat, eh?
really is. Pardon me. Geez, I got a little catch in my throat. Give me 1 second here. I'll take a sip. As they say, you'll fix that in post. Um, yeah. So no, but yeah. So I haven't been doing like I haven't done any sort of any paid gigs. Well, and the thing is, when you when you now that I'm under contract, sort of not allowed to. Like they want you all for themselves, and so once I had signed the contract, um, like I couldn't go out and perform in anything. No plays, no live music, no stand up comedy, nothing like that. So basically, you're just kind of under contract, and they're willing to pay for the privilege of not having to wonder if I'm booked somewhere else or doing something else, and when they want to do a project. So it's not quite beck and call, but they can rest assured I'm not out there. So they protect their brand that way, and it's really nice. I've really enjoyed it. It's been absolutely fantastic. Got to watch the World Series last year from right behind home plate. Was at Game 4 of the Montreal Canadiens this year, and they fly me out and put on the white suit and get to do some fun things for them, and plus all the TV commercials that we shoot. So it's yeah, that's what I've been really enjoying the last couple of years, and so
Which one
yeah.
came first for you, the music or the acting? Way back. Take us back a little bit to the beginning of how
Well,
you.
yeah. So I mean, I always I think I got a guitar when I was 12. I was a bit of a late bloomer. Four kids, all really close in age. And so, money's tight in the house. And so there was no piano, there was never, those houses, everybody, there's a piano and everybody in the family can play piano. And we didn't have a piano, and there were no musical instruments in the house, but I really wanted one. And I had a friend who was a very brilliant classical guitarist at the time. And I would sing. He would play, I would sing, but I wanted to play. I wanted to play the guitar, and he was quite happy to teach it to me, but I had to have one. So anyway, something got scraped together, and I got a little Stella guitar, and I'd like to have that Stella back. And I learned a few cowboy chords, and kind of did thing and play play down at. Hey, I'll tell you right now, Danny, there is no money above the fifth fret. So I've I've always believed that there's no
That's so
money
great.
above the fifth fret. Um, but
Huh.
yeah, so anyway, so he taught me how to play, and then but high school hit, and we kind of drifted apart, and then I didn't play for a while. Always had a guitar lying around, but I wasn't really serious about it. I didn't practice enough um, at the time, to be good at it. I could get by, I could, like I say, I could play a few cowboy chords and keep everybody entertained for an hour around a fire or at a party or something. Um, but and then I started getting a little more serious about it in my and I joined a band and went on the road as the singer for that band and never played. I had a guitar, got stolen in Espanola, at the Espanola Hotel downstairs at the pit. Um, and that was back in the late 70s. And and then I thought, okay, I'm not going to do this. And so I went back to school and finished my education. Then I went to theater school, and I went to Sheridan College. And in my first year at Sheridan College, I auditioned for a musical at Theater Aquarius in Hamilton, and I got a part. I got the part. It was a two-person musical, and I got the part of the male. And so I left school and started working right away. And so I did that for a little while, and I did a mini series for CBC called Home Fires around 1981, maybe. and then uh, and then it got weird because I lived in northern. I moved back to Northern Ontario, and at the time in the 80s in Northern Ontario, I mean, if you wanted to be an actor, you didn't. So I sort of took the life there, and so I lived in Northern Ontario, but then I started playing music more and more and more and more, so I kind of did that for a great deal of time. Every once in a while, I would drop out, go and work at a theater for a season, but then come back to it. I was never really good at working square jobs, so um, just I talk too much, and yeah, you know what I mean. Like like you see, I couldn't keep my mouth shut. I'd be like,
That makes you a
what?
really good guest on a podcast, though. Perfect guest.
Well, there's that, yeah. But I mean, I find myself in the, like every actor and who's ever, had any success as an actor, has had experience as a server type of thing, and you just you have to be nice, and you have to, and you have to put up with a certain amount of BS, as they would say, and I guess my threshold was way too low for that. Um, Somebody would give me a 2-minute lecture on seafood allergies, talking to me like I'm five, and then order a Caesar, and my reaction would be like, "You mean with the clamato juice?" Just I can't take it, and then also suddenly you're looking for another job, and because I couldn't just keep my mouth shut, things like that. So I figured, okay, well, I'll just turn that into the rent, the fact that I can't keep my mouth shut. And so, I kept the wolf from my door for years with my guitar, and, mostly throughout Northern Ontario, and partnered up with a guy in the early 90s in North Bay by the name of Jim Harney. Incredibly talented guy, unbelievable singer. Um, Lost him to brain cancer almost 10 years ago now, and he and I, like, we were working 5 nights a week, so life was pretty good, and the bills are being paid, and every once in a while you could splurge and get yourself a guitar or something. So that was good, and then I got into radio just kind of by mistake. A guy said to me, "Hey, you should. Ever thought about doing radio?" And I said, "Well, yeah, but it's too early in the morning." And you know what I mean? And he's so anyway. He kept bugging me. His name's Brent LaCour. Funny enough, he's from Sudbury, but this was up north in Kapuskasing, where I was at the time, playing up there with a bunch of guys, and. And so he said, "Look at," he goes, he finally said to me, and it was for he worked for Moose FM up there, and Moose FM ran the Highway 11 corridor from Hearst all the way down to literally down to Niagara Falls. Was started by this guy named Christopher Grossman, very cool guy from Q107 back in the heyday, and he started this little chain of radio station. He had 23 of them. And anyway, Brent said, he goes, "I haven't been able to take holidays in 2 years because I can't find a replacement for myself on the radio." He said, "If I just showed you a couple of buttons to push," he said, "you could just come in and, like, could you come in and do my show?" And he said, I don't even want you to think. You just play the games that I would play and say the things I might say. I'll write some things down." And I said, sure, I'll give that a go. But, like, I mean, 4 o'clock in the morning, you're waking up. And at the time I was still gigging, so it's getting kind of weird because that first hour of the morning show was just me sort of coming out of whatever was happening the night before, and I hadn't been to bed yet. We played till 2, and then I thought, well, I can't go to sleep for 2 hours, so we just kind of carried through, and he was very forgiving, but I really enjoyed the radio thing, and I realized exactly what that was, and that's one of those. I don't have any regrets in my life, but I'll tell you this: I kind of regret maybe not having gone into broadcasting younger in my life, because when I realized what it was really about, I thought, oh, this is really cool. So yeah, so I did that a little bit, and then I guess the owner really liked it, and they bumped me over to Cochrane for a quick have your own station session for about 8 months, and then moved me into it's called a rated market. So they put me into Timmins, and I lived in Timmins for a few years. And while I was doing that, I hooked up with a very cool band up there called Sold Out, and they were a big 13-piece R&B type outfit, run by a guy named Monty Kirkpatrick, and his wife Allison was one of the singers. So it was a full horn section, percussion, drums, keys, an unbelievable guitar player. And then myself, and then these other three women who sang backup on all the tunes, and then also did featured solos within the group. Very, very cool. So I had a really good time playing that. Sold Out, of course, is the name of a Tower of Power album, so that's why they call themselves that. And did lots of Tower of Power tunes and stuff like that, lots of Chicago and Lighthouse.
Wow.
And so we did that, and then the radio company sold, and the new owners and their vision of a morning show in Timmins and my vision were radically different. Uh, but 55 was a good time to retire from the swearish job, so I did that. And but my brother and my sister lived in Sudbury, and they've they had, my brother had a couple of restaurants here at the time, still has one, and my sister, of course, she works for him. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to land, I guess I'll just land where my family is. So I got to Sudbury, and immediately started gigging around, and played a fair bit around when I first got here, and met a lot of nice people, a lot of great musicians in Sudbury. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. And it's nice too, because having sort of come through and learned and made my bones sort of in North Bay, you always heard about the Sudbury guys and the Sudbury guys, oh, the North Bay guys. And there's always sort of been that little thing. And when I got here, there was a bit of a, where are you from? And I was like, east. And but then it was quite welcoming. I mean, like any city, it's cliquey at some level. Like, it's not like, hey, you didn't grow up with us, you didn't come up with us here. We know you came up, but not with us. But not too much. And I found lots of people were very welcoming. And of course, Northern Ontario, everybody plays everywhere. So I mean, I knew Tommy Fife long before I'd ever stepped foot in Sudbury, for instance. I'd known Tommy from up north, and from, uh, well, playing at Sab's wedding, just things like that. And of course, and I'd known Cats from the Northern Lights Festival. Also in the '80s, for a short period of time, I worked for an outfit out of Sudbury called Half Nelson Systems that did concert production, and they were quite well regarded for the audio end of their stuff. And they were using cutting edge stuff at the time. Meyer speaker systems, when nobody knew who David Meyer was at all, and they were, and now that's pretty much standard on any touring rig now, is the stuff that they were using in the late '80s. So that's very cool. But anyway, yeah. So I knew a lot of Cats, but yeah. So I played around here a fair bit, and then and then the pandemic hit, and and I'd never been married, and I didn't have any kids, and I met the woman of my dreams here in Sudbury just before the pandemic, and so we got married a couple of years after that, and still happily married. Fifth anniversary on July 23rd. Um, and so that happened along the way, and then when I got the Colonel gig, it just like, I was still playing, but all of a sudden it was like I was busy, and I was also not under an exclusive contract with them. So I did a couple of commercials I did one for NAD power amplifiers and PSP speakers, and did a couple of episodes. I did an NBA commercial. I did a couple of episodes of Fear Thy Neighbor, and uh, and it seemed that every time I was on the calendar to play somewhere, I'd get a call, and I'd be like, so I'd have to ask them to rebook the gig. And after about the fourth time, I thought, that's not fair to the other places, and they're going to stop even asking me. Like I just figured I'll just stop booking myself before I stop not getting booked. You know what I mean? Um, and and it wound up taking up a lot of my time. And then about 6 months in, I realized, I thought, geez, I haven't played out anywhere in like 6 months, and and I kind of didn't mind, to tell you the truth. Um, like after a lot of years of it, uh, a lot of its charm had rubbed off for me. The well, and I mean you're a player as well, so you understand. I mean, like you know what it's like, and even people that go out to clubs know what it's like. It's not, this isn't the clubs from the '90s, and it's certainly not the clubs from when I started in the late '70s and '80s. It was funny. I was in a conversation the other day with someone who said, "Yeah, musicians haven't had a raise in pay like club wise. Like I mean, the average is, yeah, like if you're in a band, and each guy's lucky to make $100 a night, and and if as a solo, I was happy to get 300, but it was never going to be quite 300, and I might as a single artist. And I was thinking, and they said, the artists haven't had, or musicians and clubs haven't had, they're still making the same wage they made 20 years ago. But I said, yeah, but 20 years ago, the house was packed on Tuesday night and Wednesday night. And, you know, like there was a full club every night. And so it was easy to pay a guy $250 at the time. But now, you stand on stage and you're playing, and I mean, they can only do so much. Everybody's got something going. The internet, people, and don't even get me started on Spotify. I do a thing every year where I take a musician to lunch because Spotify only feeds Spotify, and but people get their music from so many different spaces now that I find the market is very overrun. And so, you wind up with maybe 20, 30 people in the room on a Thursday night. And people are going, yeah, that's not a bad crowd for a Thursday night. I'm thinking, wow. But then only 15 of them are actually engaged. And because the other 15 are on their phone or watching the soccer match or the football, the hockey, whatever. And it's a different vibe now. And so places that offer entertainment, my hat's off to them. Thanks for doing that. And because there are people that still want to go and make a connection with an artist and listen to them play, even if it's cover tunes or whatever. And those people want to do that. And the number of venues is certainly shrinking. Um, and so for me it wasn't really that hard to step away from performing music. I still play my guitar every day, and and I'm still trying to, still sit down and try and learn new songs or learn a new trick. And I've been trying to play Never Going Back Again by Lindsey Buckingham since the first time I heard it in 1977. And I'm about, and most people go, wow, you nail that. And I know I'm about 34% of the way. And so, but I mean, so I'm still fascinated by playing. I'm still fascinated by learning a thing or two. Been doing a deep dive. Well, Mark Knopfler's always been my favorite guitar player, but lately I've just been thirsting for just learning his tunes. So I've been doing all that, and maybe once I'm able to contractually play it, I might get something together. I don't think I want to play by myself anymore, though. I think I'd rather play in a situation maybe going forward where I'm just playing with some other guys and we're having some fun. And if it doesn't cost me anything to do it, I'd be happy. Or even if it cost me a little bit to do it, I'd be happy, because at this point now it would be like my hobby. And or something like that. I mean, something you want to get out. You still get the itch. You still want to go out and play that tune and see the look on somebody's face when you play that tune or whatever tune it is, and engage and make somebody's night and have a good time, and the camaraderie of playing with other musicians. Like, I mean, I miss that, particularly playing as a solo guy. I miss that, and uh, so who knows? I kept the Strat. I kept a couple of acoustics, and I kept my nylon. So I got I can I can jump in somewhere if I have to, or if I want to, or if somebody wants me to. So I'm sort of looking forward to that a little later. But yeah, and I still play every day. Just not out in the world.
So, we have about 4 minutes left
Ah,
here, and I have to ask you the daily segment because I've done it in every episode since episode 3 or 5. Are you
the
ready?
daily segment.
Yeah, it's a stupid name, but
I like it.
okay, cool. Here's the question. What is one thing that you feel would make Sudbury greater?
One thing that would make Sudbury greater. Sudbury has lost its center. Sudbury doesn't have an identity anymore. So something that would make Sudbury better would be creating that identity. I mean, on the world stage, yes, the nickel, but I mean, Sudbury as an identity. There's there's nothing there's nothing here cohesively cultural for the entire city, and I think if something like that developed, like a Dundas Square, or on a smaller scale, obviously, but something like that. And I think from the arts point of view would make Sudbury much better. And economically, I think some diversification is needed moving forward in a world that is going to be dominated by AI. So
Good answer.
yeah.
So that's our episode for today. Rob Wills, you're a very great speaker, and
Well,
I
thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, Danny. I've been enjoying. I've listened to a few of them. My sister kept saying, "Give Danny Starr a call. He's a really good interviewer." And no, that's what she said. And now I know why she said it. And because yeah, no, you're like, yeah, no, you got it going on. I can't wait to hear it.
thanks, Rob.
So yeah,
Take care, brother. Talk soon.
all right, man. Thanks, Danny.
All right, bye.
Cheers.